What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, just wanted to bring you a quick little video here, just discussing and highlighting a specific player that the Indianapolis Colts had some good things to talk about when it came to his rookie debut. And that is Micah Abraham, the cornerback out of Marshall that the Colts drafted this year. And we're going to go ahead and talk about his performance and whether he can be the next diamond in the rough sort of player for the Indianapolis Colts. So, guys, Micah Abraham drafted in the 6th round this year for the Indianapolis Colts. Question marks as to whether or not he would make this roster. We saw in the first game against the Denver Broncos, Micah Abraham had a couple good tackles in that game, even including a strip for a fumble, and recovered said fumble and ended up taking it for a touchdown. Now, I'll tell you what, guys, if you are a player that is on the bubble, on the roster bubble, best way to be able to make a roster is if you start making plays. And in order to be able to make the roster, you got to make big plays. And that is something that Micah Abraham did quite a bit of in his first game, obviously with that fumble and that touchdown, but also having a couple good tackles as well. Even with his performance, even amongst PFF, stated that he got the highest graded rookie grade during preseason week 1 with a 92.2. So Micah Abraham getting all of the love week 1 of the preseason amongst the defensive rookies, even just the rookies in general. So really awesome to see Abraham stepping up and being able to make those kinds of plays to keep him on the roster. Is he the next great player for the Indianapolis Colts to remain on the roster as somebody that was drafted late? Now, I mean, say what you want about Chris Ballard. We have definitely seen Chris Ballard make some pretty well-educated picks on the late round draft picks that we have secured. One of the most notable ones, obviously, Isaiah Rodgers, who came out of UMass, was a 6th round draft pick by us. Obviously, no longer with the team, but was with Indianapolis and performed really well. He was a speed demon. He was a turnover artist, just was a smaller guy, just didn't quite have the intangibles that some other corners had. Colts took a chance on him, and they said that his big playability was there, and he was a great player with Indianapolis until he inevitably was cut and then ended up signing with the Eagles. Jalen Jones, another cornerback on this roster that was a 7th round draft pick, somebody that a late round draft pick for the Indianapolis Colts, and he ended up taking a chance on him, and Jalen Jones now fighting for the starting spot. He might be a starter this year. And of course, we talk about Kenny Moore. He obviously didn't draft him, but he was an undrafted free agent that was signed by New England and then, didn't make the roster. And then the Colts brought him in, and Kenny Moore has silently been one of the best corners in the NFL for many, many years. So this secondary has had, especially at the cornerback position, has had some pretty solid names, especially at corner, that were guys that were late round picks or undrafted guys. And now we're seeing another player, Micah Abraham, who, he played really well week 1. Obviously, it's the beginning of the preseason. We're still going to have to see a lot. And of course, the big question now is people are saying not only will he make the roster, but could he be the next great thing? Like that surprise pick that nobody anticipated being like at that level. So if you're the Colts, I mean, obviously you loved what you saw week 1 for Micah Abraham, being around the ball a lot, making big plays, because that's what you need to do in order to make this roster, which is the first step for Micah Abraham in order to even be the next great thing for Indy. So, of course, it's great to see what he has started, and it's good to see that he's been able to capitalize on his opportunities. Now, will he continue to do that? And a bunch of other things need to take into account. as some of you have mentioned to me on Twitter as well, I mean, Darius Rush had a somewhat decent start to camp and, had some big plays made in preseason games. Only difference was with me is Darius Rush also got burnt a bunch of different times and was clearly shown that, there were times where Darius Rush looked very out of place, even though he made a big play against the Bills in his first preseason game. Still, a lot of times looked out of place. And that's something that can hurt you. Mike Abraham really didn't look like he was out of place. He looked like he knew what he was doing. So, definitely going to be an interesting little tidbit here. We're going to have to keep an eye on Mike Abraham now because he made one of the biggest plays of the day on Sunday. And will he be a part of this Colts roster? And if he is, does he have a chance to actually get some good minutes right off the bat? But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts on Micah Abraham being a diamond in the rough player for the Indianapolis Colts once again. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.